Zdravo, ovde Marina, urednica web sajta biljnaishrana.com. Sada sam na vezi sa Lorenom Lokmenom iz centra Tanglewood Wellness Center na Kostarici, koji će mi odgovoriti ovom prilikom na pitanje šta raditi ukoliko neko primeti simptome manjka B12 vitamina ili ako se neko pribojava manjka B12 vitamina.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Marina.
First of all, I want to thank you for the last interview that we made a couple of days ago in which you told us some things about the B12, and now I would like to ask you some more practical things. First of all, what are the typical symptoms of B12 deficiency?
Well, the symptoms of B12 deficiency range widely. So there's a number of different things that can occur, and it's important to understand that none of them indicate a B12 deficiency by themselves. So I don't want someone listening to think, oh, I've got that. I must have a B12 problem. Not necessarily. They can range from weakness, tingling in your feet, nervousness, difficulty swallowing, fatigue, decreased blood clotting, dandruff, memory issues, sore or very red tongue, very pale skin. Any of these things can occur as a result of B12 deficiency.
And if somebody really has symptoms of B12 deficiency, do you recommend any supplements as the first thing to do just to help him or herself, or something else?
If you're noticing any one of these symptoms would probably not be enough to alarm someone. If you have any one of those symptoms, that could be caused by a number of different factors. If you've got a number of those symptoms, then you might want to at least go get tested to see what your B12 levels are. Now, the problem with that, if your circulating levels are low, that could be a problem, but it's not necessarily a problem. Remember that meat eaters with much higher circulating levels tend to have the same actual B12 deficiency problems. So the first step would probably be to get it checked out clinically and go find someone that really understands, as well as possible. Again, the simple blood test alone might give you an indication, coupled with a lot of symptoms, but alone wouldn't tell you that much by itself either. So that would be the first place to start, I think. If it looks like there really is a severe problem, then some supplementing might be in order. Now, the reason I hesitate, this is critically important and something a lot of people don't understand, is that our bodies are governed by the laws of nature, including the law of efficiency. And the law of efficiency says every species is always trying to get the most benefit for the least amount of effort. So when we give the body an unnatural source of something in the form of a supplement, what we're doing is we're making it ultimately, over time, the body will become dependent on that source and less able to get its needs met naturally as it was intended to. I wouldn't rush to supplementation, or I would maybe use supplementation in the belief there was an issue temporarily on a short-term basis to try to correct the problem. And the good news is that we can store B12 for a long time, as long as 20 years or more. And so, even if someone isn't consuming or isn't able to assimilate what they need, it can take a long time for a problem to surface. If there is a problem, it can be remedied relatively quickly and isn't necessarily something someone wants or needs to do on an ongoing basis over a long time. I would always hesitate to do that, because the last thing you want to do is create a situation where your body's dependent on something that's unnatural. I mean, I would point out that in the vast majority of cases of deficiency, whether we're talking about B12 or we're talking about any other deficiency that might arise, it's usually not because someone's not consuming enough or has enough in the body. It's usually because the body is unable to access or use what's already there. And B12 is unusual in a couple of ways. First of all, it's unlike all the rest of the B vitamins, which are available from plant sources, from the plants themselves. B12 is not really readily available from plant sources because it's always manufactured by bacteria. So it's available from plant sources to the extent that substance was taken from the ground and not had, not washed, for instance. I eat right from my garden all the time and don't wash the food. I might brush the dirt off if there is some, but otherwise I just eat the food. And that ensures that I'm getting any B12 that might be there on the surface of the food. But in many cases, what's going on is an inability to properly use what's there. And that can happen for a number of reasons. Supplementation short term might make sense. The next thing that I would do is I would find a way to have my cellular hydration tested and interpreted by someone who actually understands it. And I'm going to point out that I believe there are very few people who do, because the people who read these devices are typically trusting the information that comes with them. The device is giving you an overall hydration percentage of the body. So for instance, if you weigh 100 pounds, Marina, it might say that your body is 70% water. Now, what does that mean? Well, unfortunately, that alone isn't really very useful. And the reason it's not is because what all that's telling us is that 70% of your weight, in the case, if my numbers are accurate, I'm just making them up for anyone listening. I don't know these numbers, but if my numbers were accurate, that would mean that your body was, 70 pounds of your body weight was from water. But in order to actually understand that, we would have to know how much body fat you have, and then we would have to calculate what percentage is that 70 pounds of your body's lean mass, because there is no real water in body fat. And the reason this is important is because I believe that the vast majority of B12 deficiency problems, when the body is systemically dehydrated that way, which is true for over 99% of the people we've measured, one of the things that happens is the stomach lining, which is supposed to be mucus, a mucus layer, it's not healthy. It's not complete. It doesn't protect the stomach the way it's designed to, because that mucus is made of water mostly. And so when the body is chronically dehydrated, a number of things break down, including that protection for the stomach. That's important because when that protective mucus layer isn't there, the body needs to reduce its production of hydrochloric acid. Low stomach acid is a huge problem. People are taking antacids thinking they have too much stomach acid, when the fact is they don't have enough. Their problems are typically not caused by excess acid. They're caused by the presence of undigested proteins because of acid that's already too low. And one of the reasons it's too low is because the body is making less hydrochloric acid on purpose, because in the absence of a healthy mucous membrane layer, a healthy hydrochloric acid content would digest the stomach. So the body purposely reduces the hydrochloric acid content in order to protect the stomach. But that means that nothing's digested very well, and B12 can't be assimilated in that environment. There won't be intrinsic factor in that environment. And so I believe it comes back to hydration. Hydration really is, in my perspective, single most important piece. Well, the first thing someone could do, if this, this is really true for anybody, but especially for someone who's already having a problem with B12, start consuming exclusively high water content foods. And that means nothing dehydrated, no dried fruit, nothing that comes out of your dehydrator, nothing with salt, vinegar, spices, culinary herbs, because these things all take water out of the body. For anyone who's still consuming alcohol or caffeine, none of those things, because those things are diuretics and they force your body to lose water. Consume the foods that are highest in water content, because that's ultimately how we're going to get the body hydrated. Understand that getting hydrated doesn't happen by drinking more water, and especially not by drinking more water quickly. Guzzling water and drinking so that your pee is clear doesn't do anything for your level of cellular hydration. It just ensures that you have to pee a lot more because the water's just running right through your system. Indeed, fasting is the single most effective thing that I know of, because we've seen over and over again that people with deficiencies of virtually any kind eliminate those deficiencies while fasting. If that's all they're eating is junk food, they might have some deficiencies because of the lack of nutrition in their food. But most people are consuming all the nutrients they need. They're simply not able to get them. And that's the answer in that case is not to consume more in the form of supplements or better, more concentrated food or superfoods. The answer there is to simply allow the body to begin to work better by cleaning itself and becoming more efficient so that it's able to use what's already there. And we see this over and over again. While people are fasting, consuming nothing, their deficiencies begin to disappear.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this. If people want to reach you, how can they do that?
You can go to www.tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. You're welcome to find me on Facebook, Lauren Lockman, and you might enjoy my videos on my YouTube channel, which is also under my name, Lauren Lockman.